Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
Then comes the maps. Who will tell me what are integration maps? Is the value what you have in the system to mapping to the file? If you are transferring data to another entity like to MasterCard or other companies, you know you're mapping the data, basically what you have and how they store the information in the system. Right? For example, gender right. Like if I see there is any gender configured here, right? Female right. Internal values, what would they have? I have male. What is the external value? Say the other system wants M, then I will say female. Female is what? Similarly is the title. Like if Workday value is US, it is doctor. I want D to be there, right? If it is something else, why Workday provided? Workday knows these are the very common used things. Instead of if Workday doesn't provide, then you have to write a code for this, right? If an else statement, if gender is female, then value should be F, else M, something like that. That's why to remove that stuff, Workday has provided this configuration as a configurable value, right? On the front end. You don't have to go to the code and do that. Similarly, for Mareto status, you have all single, you want to send S for separated, you want to say C partner. It will be part of the specification which you will get from the vendor. Same as with region ethnicity, you don't have to configure everything. Only what is applicable to your requirement. You do that. But the things which are not there and you want to map them, then for that there will be an extra code. Right? And that code will come as part of our next integration type, which we will see. This was the map again. It is the same stuff. Why is this error? It is saying instance plural specified for is required and must have. Now we have done the attributes in the maps and the service, but then how will we select what fields will be there in the output file? Because what we are doing as part of this connector, the core connector worker it generates, it's an outbound connector, meaning it will extract data from both there and it will generate a file which you can send to any other system. That means there should be an option to select what values or what fields write. We want to send for that. Go to Integration System, configure integration field attributes. Now here, if you click that, it opens up a page like this. Right on the left hand side, you have all the services which you have enabled. Right? Like the personal data section, status data section, position data, contract data and all. Now what we'll do is we'll go one by one. Worker profile, nothing here. Personal data, right? Now you see here legal name, including the output file. It is by default enabled. Preferred the name is enabled, name data is enabled. Now, do you want gender in the file? Yes, I do want. Do you want birth date? Yes, I want it. Then I want marital status. I don't want religion. I don't want anything. Now I go to the next section, which is status data. I want the hired date. I want there should be a termination date as well here. If an employee's termination date and all that staffing event, this one event status whatever you're selecting is again all dependent on the requirement. Right. Position. Now why I have enabled all the services? Because say I'm a new person, I don't know which service has what fields, right? But they worked as kind of clubbed it. If you see contract data, it will have all the contract related fields, position ID, contract type and all that. Then leave of absence, on leave, leave start date and all that, all the fields associated with that national ID. You have all the IDs to visa, passport, license, other related and all that. Right. Personal data. Again, it is a separate section. It was there in the beginning, but there the name was different. It was worker personal data. Now this is worker again personal data section. Your wish. Whatever you want to select, it will come up. Transaction log. Let me enable this. Meaning. Configure integration field attributes helps you in selecting the fields which you want in the output of this connector. Right. Once you do that, right. Now whatever fields you have selected, and if you run the integration, if there are any changes on those fields, that particular employee will be in the output file. Now we have done attributes. We have done field attributes. Now comes Emaps is done and all that. Now we'll see the override. Awesome. We may get that. Go on. Kind of select your fees which you want in the output. Now there is some requirement that there are some fees which might not be delivered. For example, say the same thing. Employee ID is there, but you want only the first two characters of the employee ID, right? Or you want to concatenate two IDs and that you have to send, right? Those, if you remember our initial last week, that was the thing which we did using the calculated fields. Now, that's where the calculated fields will come into picture. What we'll do is, since those fees are not available, right? Those are not Workday delivered fees and all that. What we do is, we do configure integration service. And here you have custom integration service, right? Because those fees are not part of the Workday delivered services. What we do is we create an integration, custom integration service. Right. You say create. And then you choose the field override. Field override service, and then you give a name. Whatever. Field override. Now the business object. Again. Now this is again back to our basic, whatever business object we will choose here. The calculated field which we will be configuring. Right? We need to make sure whatever data or business object is here, the calculated fees should be on the same business object. Right? Generally what we do is, we have always seen using worker. And you give the name of the field. This is not the name of the calculated field. This is just the placeholder. Right? 2 digits of employee ID. Right? This is the name of the field. I am just giving this, but you can keep anything. Just random. And then you can give her another. Something like that. Right. This is just a placeholder and you click on and done. When you do this, custom integration service. What we have done is we have just defined the name and 2 fields. Again, the name of the 2 fields. That these 2 fields have to be configured. Now where we will go and do that is configure integration field overrides. Here you see this int test field override. This is the one which we created. The first 2 digits of employee ID and the custom field. Now here you have a drop down. Once you create your calculated field, it will come. I think something. Some calculated field will be there. We have created should be there. We will choose whatever. This is the place where you do this field override. Now comes the first part here, which is define the eligibility criteria. And you read the description as it says, used to determine whether a worker is eligible for inclusion in the integration of the field, should return a Boolean value. That means it has to be a true-false fee. Either it can be delivered or it can be, I calculated, right. If it's delivered, there is a field called is active. Is active employee. And if you click on these 3 dots, it says, is this employee active or an employee? Again is active manager and all that stuff. If there is no condition. Right now, I am giving a practical example here. There can be 3 types of things. One is that there is no condition at all. You need to choose everything with whatever is there in your tenant, be it active, inactive, or things. In that case, since there is no condition, you can leave it blank or you can say any is true. Any is true means I don't care. Returns Boolean to always. It gives you to always and it's made on global business object and it's 1 day delivered. This is the first. Second is you want only active employees. Right? You choose is active employee. Right? And third is our custom where we say it is based on some location. Right? Let me do this. I will make let's create a calculated field with some condition, and a practical condition is that employee's work location is some stuff based on the location. Let's do what's the task create. Calculated field. What will be the business object? That means eligibility. What will be the business object? Did you say something? Why worker? Because you see here business object. It is saying either integration system should be a business object or the worker should be a business object. Meaning any calculated field which is using these two business object will be available here. For us it is a function. What will be the function? Right? This one now condition. Let's say I Australia will the country they have. There's already a field like this. Let me put it as country. Poland, Norway, it's home. Australia equal to 2. Right. Local country is Australia. That means what is this? Checking whether the worker country is Australia. If yes, it will return 2. Now, if you have to use it here, I will just copy paste the name. And then it should be available. Eligibility criteria. Then is the CC workers for DS. There is nothing to be done here. It's all. That leave it. One more configuration is the transaction law, which I told you right. Here is this part. We saw that worker integration, this core connector worker checks the transaction. One thing is, we can subscribe to a specific transaction as well. Right. Very important concept. Say the requirement. The vendor says, you need to send me every time the employee which is hired. I don't want any terminations, promotion, demotion, compensation change, nothing like that. Only when there is a new hire you send me that employee. Right. That means it is a very particular type of transaction on which we need to send data. Right. What we do is we come here by default. The values subscribe to all transaction type, meaning anything happening is eligible for this integration. But if there is a very specific requirement, we override this default and we say subscribe to a specific transaction type which is hired. And then later on the other system says you send me hire and termination both. Then you choose. Right? Now, whenever these two things will happen on any employer, that particular employee will be in the output file. Other options are subscribed to. This then is subscribed to business process except. Whatever you will write, except that everything will be in scope. Similar to that, you have to understand that. Any question? Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.